Okay, so ready to dive deep into the world of coffee.
Always ready for that.
But not just any coffee. We're talking like the journey to your cup,
Okay.
all the way back to the green coffee bean.
Right back to the source.
Ever wonder about the pros?
Yeah.
The ones who find those perfect beans?
The Globetrotters.
The globetrotters, yeah. Buckle up because today we're hanging out with a true coffee expert
I'll try my best.
to uncover the world of green coffee buyers.
Sounds fun.
Now, you might think they just like sip coffee all day,
Right, right.
but our expert helped me realize it is so much more intense than that.
It really is fascinating.
Yeah.
We usually just see the kind of finished product, right?
Totally.
But those beans, they travel a long road to get to your mug. And the green coffee buyers are the ones navigating that whole intricate process.
Right. It's like they're the hidden heroes of our morning caffeine fix. So from the articles you shared, it sounds like these buyers need a pretty unique set of skills.
Uh-huh.
Like it's not just about loving a good cup of joe, is it?
It's definitely not no.
No.
They have to be incredibly in tune with the subtle flavors and aromas of coffee, almost like a
Oh, almost like a wine person?
yeah, like a sommelier.
A sommelier, yeah.
Imagine having to identify notes of, say, jasmine
Jasmine.
or blackberry
Blackberry in coffee.
in a coffee bean, and then knowing how those flavors will change during roasting. That's the level of expertise we're talking about.
Wow, that's some serious sensory overload. Makes you appreciate what goes into each sip. One of the articles mentioned something about the coffee supply chain.
Yeah.
What exactly does that look like from a green coffee buyer's perspective?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
It all starts with the farmers, of course. Green coffee buyers often travel to remote corners of the world, like the mountains of Ethiopia
Wow.
or the hills of Colombia to find, the highest quality beans.
Okay, so I'm picturing this. Our intrepid green coffee buyer is trekking through a coffee farm.
Yeah,
The air is thick with the scent of coffee blossom.
exactly. And it's not just about, like, the scenery.
Right.
They're building relationships directly with the farmers who grow those beans. They're tasting different batches, assessing the quality, and negotiating prices. This is where their, discerning palates and their business acumen truly come into play.
It sounds like they need a crash course in international diplomacy, too.
Absolutely.
Wow.
These relationships with farmers are crucial not just for securing those top-notch beans, but also for ensuring ethical sourcing and fair prices, which is becoming increasingly important in the industry.
Right. Sustainability is huge right now.
Yeah.
One article mentioned how climate change is threatening coffee production in some regions.
Right.
That's got to be a major factor for green coffee buyers to consider these days.
It absolutely is. In fact, one of the articles profiles a buyer who's partnering with farmers in Guatemala to implement more sustainable farming practices that help protect the environment and combat the effects of climate change.
That's incredible. So they're not just sourcing beans, they're actively trying to make a positive impact.
Precisely.
Wow.
They see firsthand the challenges these farmers face, so they're becoming more involved in promoting sustainable practices and ensuring the long-term viability of the coffee industry. It's a huge responsibility.
Wow. So we've got globetrotting, expert tasting, relationship building, and sustainability all rolled into one job description. It sounds like a wild ride.
It definitely can be. The sources mention long hours, frequent travel, and the constant need to stay ahead of those ever-changing market trends.
Okay, let's talk about those market trends. One article mentioned volatility and price fluctuations. I'm getting a bit lost in the business jargon here. Can you break that down for me?
Sure thing. Imagine coffee prices are like
Okay.
a roller coaster.
Okay.
They go up and down based on a bunch of factors. Weather patterns in coffee-growing regions, global supply and demand, even political instability in certain countries.
Wow.
A good buyer needs to be able to predict those twists and turns and make smart decisions, even when the market takes a sudden dip or climb.
So it's not just about finding amazing coffee. It's about understanding, the global forces that shape the entire industry. Talk about pressure.
It's a lot to juggle, for
Yeah.
sure, and that's just the market side of things.
Right.
Remember, they're also responsible for making sure those beans meet the very specific needs of coffee roasters.
Oh, right. Those are the folks who actually transform those green beans into the fragrant, delicious coffee we know and love. So how does a green coffee buyer bridge that gap between the farm and the roastery?
Think of them as, like, coffee matchmakers.
Okay.
They need to know what roasters are looking for, certain flavor profiles, roast characteristics, maybe even specific ethical sourcing requirements.
So if I'm a roaster looking for, say, a bean with a chocolatey undertone that's perfect for a dark roast, my green coffee buyer is the one who scours the globe for that.
Exactly. They're the ones who can tell you. You need beans from this particular region of Sumatra, grown at this altitude, processed using this method. They have that, granular level of knowledge.
Wow, it's almost like they're coffee whisperers. Now, I'm curious about the career path here. Let's say someone listening is thinking, hey, this green coffee buyer gig sounds like my dream job. Where do they even begin?
Well, it usually starts with like an entry-level position,
Gotcha.
like an assistant buyer.
Yeah.
You're not jet-setting off to exotic coffee farms just yet, but you're, learning the ropes.
So what does that actually look like day to day? Are we talking mountains of paperwork and endless spreadsheets?
There's definitely some of that, but remember, it's all about learning the trade. An entry-level buyer might be responsible for making sure a shipment of beans from Sumatra arrives on time,
Okay.
which means, navigating different time zones and coordinating with suppliers overseas. They're also doing market research, analyzing trends, and learning about different coffee origins.
Okay, so it's a lot of behind-the-scenes work, but with the potential to lead those sourcing trips in the future. What comes after that entry-level phase?
That's when you might move into a junior buyer role.
Okay.
Here's where you start to spread your wings a bit. You might be given more responsibility for sourcing beans independently, negotiating directly with producers, and making those purchasing decisions.
Okay, now we're cooking. It sounds like a blend of creativity and analysis, right? Like,
Wow.
I have a hunch these beans from Kenya would be perfect for this roaster, but let me crunch the numbers and see if it makes sense from a market perspective.
Exactly. It's a balance.
Yeah.
And as you gain more experience and expertise, you can climb the ladder to senior buyer roles, maybe even managing a whole team of buyers.
So there's a clear career progression within the field, but you mentioned earlier that this industry is all about connections. I'm guessing networking plays a big role in landing those coveted positions.
Absolutely. Attending industry events, joining professional associations, even just connecting with people online. It's all about building relationships and showcasing your passion for the coffee world.
Speaking of connections, I have to ask about something you highlighted in the source material. This service called RoleCatcher. Now, I'm all for tools that make career navigation a little less daunting. Can you tell me more about it?
It sounds pretty impressive. It's a platform that offers all sorts of resources for job seekers, including this cool AI-powered feature that actually helps tailor your resume and even preps you for interviews.
Hold on, AI that helps you prep for interviews. Now, that's something I haven't seen before. I'm genuinely curious. How does that even work?
That's what I was wondering, too. The source material doesn't go into detail, but it sounds like it analyzes your skills and experience and then maybe simulates interview scenarios so you can practice your answers and build confidence.
Almost
Yes.
like having a career coach in your pocket.
That's amazing. It's like technology is playing matchmaker for your career. I love it. We've talked a lot about the technical skills and market savvy needed in this field,
Yeah.
but it strikes me that green coffee buyers must also have a deep understanding of different cultures and farming practices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not just working with beans, they're working with people.
Right.
Building those relationships with farmers requires cultural sensitivity, respect for their traditions.
Yeah. And a willingness to learn about their way of life.
It's like you said earlier, they're acting as a bridge between the farm and the roastery,
Right.
but also between different cultures and perspectives.
Yeah.
It adds a whole other layer of complexity and richness to the job.
It does. And it makes you think about the stories these buyers could tell,
Yeah,
the challenges they face,
yeah,
the unexpected discoveries they make,
totally.
the impact they have on the lives of coffee farmers around the world.
You're right. It's like every cup of coffee has a hidden story waiting to be told.
Yeah,
The journey of the bean, the dedication of the farmers,
it's true.
the expertise of the buyer who brought it all together. It makes you appreciate that morning ritual even more.
It really does. And it highlights something I think crucial.
Okay.
The human element at the heart of this global industry.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that behind every transaction, every shipment of beans,
Yeah.
there are real people whose lives are deeply intertwined with the coffee trade.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dives to the world of green coffee buyers,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you hope listeners will remember?
I think it's the understanding that those beans in your grinder represent a complex and fascinating journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey shaped by global markets, environmental challenges,
Right.
and the dedication of individuals who are passionate about bringing you that perfect cup.
Beautifully said. Next time you're savoring your coffee, remember those globe-trotting green coffee buyers?
Yeah.
The tastemakers, the negotiators, the sustainability champions who make it all possible.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on today's deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this caffeinated journey as much as we did.